Let's have a quiet time before we start. Please turn up, Gina. Let us relax our body and still our minds. Turn loose of the day and bring our full attention to this room and to this moment. Let us lift our thoughts to the higher realms of love and light. And use your inner image, your imagination, and see this as a circle of light. And this light's getting brighter, and it's moving upward towards the higher dimensions. And those on the higher dimensions that have come to be with us are reaching down to us and making the contact. And remember that everyone in the circle is a part of the channel. You're lending your life force to this circle. And you're just as much a part of the channel as the one who speaks. Hello. Good evening, my beloveds. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you and see your shining countenance. I welcome those who are new with us tonight, and I welcome our young one. And we invite you to come in to our circle of light with love and peace and joy. I would have you to think with me and to let me paint you a word picture about our circle. On the outer edges of your circle, there are your teachers and your guides that are here with you this evening. And another circle around that are those who have come from this side of the veil to sit in and learn as you have come to learn. Remember that there are many, many who have crossed over from your physical who did not have an opportunity to be a part of something like this. And they take great pleasure. And many have come from the very first meeting and continue to come back and bring some of their friends. So we have many of the entities who are sitting in the balcony, you might say, and are eager to be with you and share their vibrations with your vibrations. Tonight, I would talk to you, and let us name this class Live as If. There are times when we overhear your conversations and your thoughts, and we hear you say, that was such a beautiful message, and it would be wonderful if we could live life that way. My dear ones, I would say to you, you can, and you are learning to live life as we talk about it from this side of the veil. Be not concerned about your past. This is very important, that you turn loose of your past, no matter what it was, and release any guilt or self-condemnation, any thoughts of what you might have done that you regret, because eternity, my dear ones, is here and now, in the present moment. Learn to live in the present. Learn to live as if you had the whole kingdom of God right here and right now. Because you do, my dear ones. You have the whole kingdom within you. Be not concerned about the outer drama, the outer play that goes on around you, because it is just a drama. And as you look at the outer play and become disturbed about some things that are happening on your physical plane, I would say to you, be not concerned. You see, when you think this is of God and this is not, this is erroneous thinking, because all is of God. Even the disturbances and the wars that go on, and this may sound strange to you, but you see, when you understand and realize that in the whole universe there is nothing but the one life that we call God, the one life, and it's expressing in individual ways, as many individuals as there are entities in the universe. And our Father has given us freedom to express as we will, but it is His life force that is expressing through us. For without His life force animating us and sustaining us, we would not exist. When you get to the point of consciousness where you can turn loose of the concept of duality, of good and evil, and time and space, then you will be far along the way to being free from these lower dimensions. But I say to you, you can be free now, this moment, and any moment that you think about it. As you go through your days, you may think your days are drudgery at times and difficult for you, and others around you make it difficult. But I tell you, my dear ones, you live in your consciousness. You live within yourself. The outer physical is the illusion. The outer is just the play on the stage. How many times have we said this? But you must hear it until you can remember that the inner life is the reality. Now, as you may think about this, you may think, well, the outer is a reflection of the inner, and to a certain extent this may be true. But you see, the negative things that you call negative, destructive things that are happening in your world, is a reflection of the negative programming that is within the subconscious and is reflected back to the outer. And then you see it in the outer, then it's reflected back to the subconscious, and it builds up and has more power. Just as the struggle that you see that is beginning in China right now, it is a good analogy to see that it started with just a little flame, and now it could move in to a great struggle, but it also could quieten down if you learn to send enough God's love to these trouble spots in the world. Remember, my dear ones, to send God's love to all the trouble spots in the world and to all the world leaders every day, several times a day, so that you can help them to make the right decisions. They have the free will to not respond, but you have the freedom to continue to send love to the world and the world conditions. But I would come back to you and your world, your life. Your world, your universe is within you. And as you think, so you are. You have heard this many times. But also remember that feelings, moods, attitudes, desires, all come under the heading of thought. And when we feel a certain way, then this is a thought. Life force works through the mind and the prism of thought to reach your physical and lower dimensions. And as you have the freedom to think as you will, then each moment you are molding and shaping your life as it is and as it will be. I would leave you with this thought tonight, to live as if you already have your freedom from these lower dimensions. Live as if you have everything that you could possibly desire in your thoughts, in your mind, in your consciousness. Live as if you already are where you would like to be. Now, your teacher, Donald, has put it in other words. When you came to your first class, he said, assume the role. And this is another way of saying it. But I would take it a step farther and say, live now as if you already are where you would like to be. And as you do this, my dear ones, this gives your subconscious a pattern to go by. And if you think this enough and feel it and use power behind it in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your emotions, with positive power, knowing that you are a child of God and that you inherit the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God, and it is here and now. It's not somewhere in the future, because the future is an illusion, as the past is. Turn loose of the past and turn loose of the future and accept your fullness of the kingdom of God now. As you move forward in your growth, and as you learn to start your day by living as if you already have everything that you want and that you desire, and hold on to these feelings and these thoughts as you go through your day. This is building this into your consciousness, my dear ones, and you will quickly receive your freedom from these lower dimensions. You will quickly move into that higher consciousness that you desire. I would say to you, for those who are receiving messages from within, from their teachers and their guides, there is one rule that you can follow, and this I had told the group when they were back in Oklahoma. And when we first made contact with them, this was one of the first questions that they asked. How do we know if it's a good message? And I tell you plainly, my dear ones, as I did then, if it's good, it's of God. If it's not, it's not. If it feels right to you, then accept it and be grateful for it. And if you open the channels within yourself, knowing that you are divine and that you are filled with light and that divine love surrounds you, then no harm can come near you. And if you receive messages that feel good to you, that seem to be correct in your thinking, then accept them and open the door a little wider, and you will receive more. For our young Matthew, I would say that he has a special friend from this side of the veil, a little bit older than he is, but his name is Ray, when he was in the physical. And he may already know this, but his friend is with him much of the time, and other friends. Children of your plane do have their invisible playmates, as you call them. They are children from this side who come to the physical plane and are around the children in the physical for their growth and for the ones who are in the physical. When children go through the experience that you call death at a young age, they have a special place on these dimensions that they are taken where people love children and know how to take care of them in a loving way. And they start maturing just as they mature on the physical plane. And as they mature, they learn much from the physical when they come to play with the children in the physical. Their teachers come with them, and they learn to understand things that they may have missed while they were in the physical, or did not have the opportunity to learn because they did not mature to that age. But it is wonderful for children to have an early understanding. And I tell you, my dear ones, that each generation is a little bit higher that's coming in now for your new age. And you should realize this and help them to move into a higher consciousness than you have, because they are higher. Now, there are still the negative ones that are coming in at this time, but soon the vibrations on your planet will be too high for them to incarnate. And those such as this dear one tonight are of a higher level, you might say, than most who sit in this room, because they have new things to do as they mature and grow into adulthood. They have new things to experience, and they bring new ideas with them for this golden age that you're moving into. And children such as this do live in the moment. They live right now, and they have this wonderful innocence that the Master talked about when he says, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, and unless you become like them, you cannot enter the kingdom." And he meant living in the present moment and keeping this innocence of accepting and liking everyone just automatically without judgment. It is a beautiful experience here tonight, for we do have some children from this side of the veil too, because of this young one that has stayed for our class. And it is true, I would say to his mother, that he was urged by these children to stay and to be a part of this group this evening, which is very unusual, as you would think. There is reason and purpose behind everything in your life, and when you learn to understand this, when you learn to be the innocence that the children have and live in the present moment and love life to the fullest, and especially, my dear ones, learn to love yourself, to release the past and to release anything that you think that you are not good enough for or you lack. Turn loose of those concepts. Be of good cheer and love yourself and love life. And it's so much easier then to love the others around you. No matter what they're doing, love them anyway, because they need love, and be that channel for God's love to flow through, to help them to move along the path that they have chosen and to learn the lessons that they have come to learn in this incarnation. There is much that we could say tonight, but I want to impress upon you again to think about this week and the weeks to come of living as if you already have everything that you could possibly want. Now let us open the discussion tonight for questions, if you have questions. there are many here tonight who could ask questions, and it is all right to ask questions unless they are real personal.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the difference, if there is a difference, between sending God's love and praying for people?
Yes. Sending God's love is a form of prayer, my dear one. So many times in your churches, the prayer is a prayer of supplication, of asking for this and asking for this, that, and pleading with God to help them. And this is not necessary. When you pray amiss, when you pray in this way, because you see God sees your needs. And when you pray, raise your thoughts to the level of God within you. And as I have said earlier, assume the role of that which you would be, and let God's love flow through you to help you to accomplish this. When you affirm the truth, this is a prayer, and this is a much better way of praying than pleading with God for certain things. You see, my dear one, you cannot have anything and keep it unless you have the consciousness of it, as you have been told. And so, as you raise your consciousness, then all of your prayers are answered, because you are the one who answers them. You are the one who brings the conditions into your life that you have. You and you alone. Others may seem to be involved, but it is not always as it appears to be. When you have a relationship and you are upset with someone because they are doing this or not doing that, then your being upset is within you, not within the other individual. And that is your doing. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. It is good to have that personal relationship with the God within you. My dear ones, you and God are one, whether you know it or not. And when you can assume this within yourself and know that God feels every feeling that you feel, He hears every thought that you think, and knows all in every way that you are. When you understand this, you see, you do not have to plead with God. God knows your needs even before you know your needs. And by sitting down and becoming quiet and going within and just having a quiet visit with God, and it need not be words, just becoming still and going within and being aware of the life that you are and knowing that this is God. The life force that flows through you is God. Your neighbor is God. Your children, the trees, the grass, all that you see, all that you comprehend in any way is an expression of God. And when your master teacher taught you to pray without ceasing, he was saying, raise your consciousness to the level that you see God everywhere that you look, that you are aware that each person's eyes that you're looking into, you're looking at God. When you become to this level of consciousness, then you see the love is flowing through you continuously, God's love, and it is praying without ceasing. Each one of you will reach this state where you can do this, where you look beyond and through the outer appearance of life, the outer illusion. And as your master teacher said, judge not by appearance, but judge righteous judgment. And when you judge righteous judgment, then you see through what appears to be, and you know what it truly is. We came to this level, these different lower dimensions, to have experience and to grow through these experiences. And some of you judge them as good, and some of you judge them as evil, or bad, or not so good. But my dear ones, remember that they are only experiences. And it is not the experience that you have or what kind of experience that you have, but it is how you think about it, it is how you feel about it, it is how you handle it that makes the difference. And when you know that it is just an experience and that it is not either good or bad, it just is, as God is. God is everywhere present, and he loves you, my dear ones, with a love so deep and so great that your human minds could not even begin to imagine it. He continually gives you life force, and he does not judge you. He sees you as whole and perfect and complete as he brought you into existence. Are there other questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
When you said that we should live in the moment as if we have everything that we need or want,
Yes.
I know that you were applying on the spiritual side, but the thought that came to mind is, in the material world, the physical world, how should your thoughts relate to money? You can't just go out and spend without realizing, but if you start making a budget and limiting yourself, well, how does that all fit into the
Yes. One of the things is being responsible, is it not? And how, let us think of the truth about money and supply and abundance. Who does this money belong to? Who does this supply of any kind belong to? It belongs to the Father, the Creator of all life, and we are just stewards over it while we have it. And it is not how much money that you have, but it is how you handle it, and it is how you use it and how you think about it that either limits you in your supply or brings you more abundance. You see, there is a story in your Bible that I'm sure that you remember about the talents, and it is the same as this in your consciousness. The whole kingdom of God is being held out to you at all times. Now it's from your physical surface viewpoint and your dual eyes, your two eyes, you do not see this clearly. But when you can use the inner eye, and the Master said, if thine eye be single, thine whole body shall be filled with light. And I would have you to think, as he walked your plane, was he concerned about money or supply? He was not concerned. He used whatever was at hand, and his disciples, remember, was concerned that he did not eat enough. And remember what he said, I have food that you know not of. And my dear ones, you all have food that you know not of. You have the abundance of the whole universe, and it is all yours. But God has given you the freedom to think as you will, and your thoughts do affect your consciousness. And so it is the level of consciousness that either makes you wealthy or makes you in poverty. And I'm not always speaking of money here. I am speaking of living in the moment. Let me say this to you. did you have something to eat today? Do you have a house to live in tonight? You have clothes? So that is all that is necessary. When you live in the present, live in the moment, then that is all that is required. Now, when you get paid by the month or by the week, you do have to budget your money and to think about paying your bills. But my dear one, even if you do not have the money to pay your bills, you are not going to discontinue to exist. And if you open your heart and your mind to life, life will fill your cup to overflowing. Remember this, and it is not the outer things that fulfill you. It is the inner understanding of God's love for you and the beauty and the joy of life that fulfills you in your needs. Yes, you do have to feed your body and clothe it, and you're going through this play on stage where you go to work and make the money to do this and all of these different kinds of situations, and each one of you are in a different place in your consciousness. But remember, the abundance of life is everywhere present, and all you need do is open your consciousness to it. For there is no lack. It only appears to be a lack. Now, I am seeing some of your thoughts about the different countries where the people starved. You see, this is a karmic thing that was brought about for particular lessons. And when you get through the idea that there is death, when you get past this, then you need not be concerned. If your body dies of malnutrition, you still exist on the other dimensions. It is a lesson for you to learn. And sometimes there is a lesson for the whole country to learn, and a group of people that are learning this lesson together. And from your physical surface point of view, it is difficult for you to see the whole truth behind this. But I would have you think of yourself more than you think of the outer world and your level of consciousness and how you live. Are there other questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
What would be the best way? I know the best way is by example to teach your children of their higher selves of a better way. But what would be other things that we could do to teach them?
There are many ways that you can teach your children. Love is one of the best examples to teach them. And if you can be patient with them and loving to them, and also do not treat them as if they are beneath you. Treat them more of equals, because they do understand much more than we give them credit for at times. Talk to them about different things and take the time to explain to them, especially when they ask you. But when you take your child and know that within this small body is an entity that has had many incarnations and many experiences that came from eternity that had no beginning, you see, you can look at it, your child, in a different way, and you can see that there are many things that you can help to bring out to the surface that would be helpful to this entity in accomplishing the things that they came to learn this time. When, my dear one, you have contact with your higher self, do you not?
Yeah.
Then when you talk to your higher self, ask your higher self about the things that your child has come to learn. And it may answer some of your questions, and it may not. All of your questions are not answered, but the ones that are important are answered. And when you have conflict about what you should do, go within to your higher self. Now you must put yourself aside, your physical self, and allow your higher self to freely come through and express to you. And if you are sincere, you will receive the answer. Every individual is an individual, and there is no standard answers about how to help everyone, because they have come to learn different things. But if you will treat them more on your level, instead of looking down upon them, and I do not say that you do this, my dear, but some do, and they think of their children as limited. But there will come a day very soon when the children being born into your plane will bring much more understanding than their parents already have, and the parents will learn from the children. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, it does.
Yes, God bless you. Are there other questions this evening?
I have another question.
Yes.
How can we regain the innocence that we had as children?
By going back and remembering as you were, and taking away the guard that you have put up. As we grow older and we become hurt by this and by that, and so many children do this in schools by other children. They are hurt and they put up their guard, and they do not then express themselves openly. And as you mature and you seem to have competition, which there is no competition, because we all have a particular niche to fill in that no one else can fill. And remember this, and remember that you do not have to have your guard up. You do not have to protect yourself. All you need to know is who you truly are. And when you know that you truly are God's, then there is nothing to protect you from. This will take some practice, but if you will turn loose of the stiffness, the things that you have built around you, the shell that you have built around you for protection, and just relax and let yourself be your beautiful, innocent God self, then you can bring it back. And my dear one, you do allow yourself to be yourself more than most.
Thank you.
Are there other questions this evening? It is a beautiful thing to have this contact with these realms, and I would have you to remember to cherish this, because so many do not have it. But there are many, many groups opening up around your world now that do have the contact with these upper realms, and their teachers and their guides are so pleased when this comes about, for they do want their charges to grow, and they are striving to help them in every way possible. And when you can have this kind of contact, then it makes it much easier for you to remember and to be reminded. But I would say to you, each one, that you have your own individual contact within yourself. So much of the time, you have guidance that you're not conscious of. You think it's your thoughts, but much of the time, it is thoughts that your loved ones from this side has given you in your mind. And if you will be more open to this and be grateful for it, you will continue to open the door to these higher levels of love and light much more every day. Are there other questions this evening?
Relating to the last statement you just said, where is there a point where you learn to let I don't know, sometimes I find myself fighting with, the things that I hear inside as to whether they're the right things to do.
Yes. And whether they are of the darkness or of the light. Is this what you're saying? Yes. And it is, as I have told you earlier, you judge by the message. If it feels good to you, then it is of God. If it's not, then it's not. There are times, you see, when with our negative, fearful thinking that we open the door to these lower dimensions, and there are many, many negative thoughts that surround this planet, as you were told in another lesson, I believe. And they are there when you open your mind to them by having fearful thoughts and negative thoughts and doubtful thoughts. And when you do have something like this that you are not sure about, immediately send God's love into it. Surround yourself with God's love and light, and reach upward and ask your teachers and your guides to bring their love and light down to you, to share with you, and give you a greater understanding. Instead of resisting these things, relax and know that everything is of God, even if it seems to be negative. There may be a lesson there for you to learn, but you can turn it off, and you can turn the tide to the positive, to the constructive, to the loving, just with your thoughts and your feelings. But if you are fearful, you see, you open the door more to those lower entities, those who are misguided and do not have the understanding of God's love as you are learning. Does this help your understanding?
Thank you.
Are there other questions this evening?
Matthew,
Yes, Matthew.
Final.
We would ask his mother to speak up for him, if she will.
Is that
Somebody's did that, and or pretty done.
Yes. He,
when this were all outside about pulled to us up that?
yes. I would have him to remember his friend Ray, but there is a beautiful little girl that is attracted to him also, and other children. But these two are very close to him, and he feels their presence at times. And allow him to talk to them within himself. Do not over-encourage him, but when he opens up to this, do not discourage it. So many parents discourage their children about their invisible playmates, and they turn it off when they could have that contact and continue it into their adulthood. Matthew, you are a beautiful soul, and you will grow into a much greater understanding as you get older, as your brother is, And you will find that as you go to school, you will be able to learn quickly, and your mind will be much sharper than the children from your past. God bless you, my dear one. Are there other questions? This has been a beautiful night of sharing with you, and that is what we do when we make contact with you. We share our thoughts with each other. We relate to each other from different dimensions. Know that within yourself it was never intended that you should be cut off from these higher dimensions of love and light, but through the many centuries and the negative thoughts, mankind as a whole has closed the door for the masses to these higher dimensions. But for you who sit in this circle, the door is open, and let yourself be quiet sometime through the day, maybe several times through the day, and go within. And it does not matter whether you receive a message or not, but know that you are sharing with your teachers and guides and with your friends from this side of the veil. Each one of you have many, many friends that you know not of at this moment, but that you have known for many thousands of years. They are very close friends, and they share your life with you and look in upon you at times and send you God's love. Send love back to them, and this will help to open the door even more. When you go through your day, often send love to all these so-called invisibles around you. And if they are of the darkness, they will have to change or leave. But if they are of light and God, this will open the door for them to be there with you much more. And it does not have to be a message of words. A message of feeling and understanding and knowing oftentimes is much more than your language. It has been a beautiful time of sharing with you this evening, and as you leave this place of light and love, remember it often through the week. When you let your thoughts come back to the circle of light, you are tuning in to the power that is generated here now, that is very great. And you can do this even while you are alone. Tune into the circle of light and the power of all that are here. The power is multiplied as many times as there are individuals in this circle. God bless you, my dear ones, and good evening. Shall we hold him?
At Brevoort Hands, let us think of coming together in the physical as we have been in spirit, and let us bring down this feeling of love and light that we have had this evening. And as we go through our week, let us share it with those around us. We need not speak words, but just send that God's love and know that God's love is helping everyone around you. Let your auras be filled with God's love and light and healing power as you go through your days, and let your thoughts be of love and live as if you already have everything as you could possibly want. Thank you, Father.
For you to see blessed and doubled.
Are you glad you came, Matthew?
Glad you feel it?
Well,
Done it. You say, don't let happen. They do so bad. It's a lot of thought. You don't mean that.
this is
What could they? ran a second and third time that you're in it. That picture didn't say anything about the.
No.
We'll have to remember that. And I know that he didn't skip you on purpose anyway.
Yeah, and he did talk about not treating the children like children that are less than or have less understanding, that we do to treat them like the entities that they are.
Yeah.
The one thing I worry about is that sometimes maybe I'm treating mine too much like an adult entity, and therefore she may be missing some of her childhood because of it.
I doubt that. They come from eternity, and they of course, I don't know what the thing is, but we're all one with God. And in true reality, there's no such thing as time or space. On this plane, why we go through this experience of growing up, being born from the womb. But in Atlantis, there was a time when we didn't come from the womb. When we incarnated, we were adults. And the parents would come together, and it was decided that they would be a channel for someone to come through, and they would just appear as already adults. Now, they were not mature, in the sense of the physical plane, and they would go through a period of learning again how to handle themselves and their bodies. But they didn't. And this will come again. We'll have to go through this process of growing up that is very painful sometimes. You're here, that's what it's in help what he was doing.
I mentioned something about leaning down the light or the love from your guides and teachers. If I heard of that, or that you can send their love or have their love come.
Oh, yes. You see, Ella once said, or the master, I'm not sure which, think of life as you're reaching up for help, well, the one above you, but you're reaching down to help the one that needs the help. So it's an endless chain. And so there's no separation, really. We think of it as being separate, but we're not. We're all one light. And when you're not used to thinking in this way, why, it's confusing a little, but it's still, we're all one.
Perfect.
Oh?
Hat. Touched on a lot of beige. It
seemed to flow real easy tonight to me. Did you
It always seems to be a little something extra added in. You mentioned the others on the balconies, and I'm nearly swole. These balconies, and where are they going that day? We found, and that was interesting.
Oftentimes he used to say, let me paint you a word picture. And I thought he did. Yeah. I didn't remember the balcony part. I guess that's the invisible side.
I think this is a prototype.
He said,
Someone on the other side by name, like child, like companion, gets his.
yeah. Well, Matthew insisted on staying tonight, but and he did get real work. He did very well, yeah.
Well, the situation in China was mentioned earlier. It depends upon the consciousness of the leaders and the people involved as to which way that.
Yeah,
And there's no way to predict what.
no, it's up. Everybody has free will.
Casey's prediction on that, though, many years ago. He said that what did he say? I mean, I'm trying to, I don't know if I can quote his words, but I'll give you the essence of what he said, and that the great hope for democracy was to come out of China.
Hope for democracy.
Great hope for democracy was to come out of China. I remember that, because I remember thinking, when I read that, I was saying, gosh, that was the early 70s when I read that. And I remember thinking, how in the heck people that from?
Well, you know what what Arthur Virk said about Chinese? He said they're very how did he put it? Resourceful. And he said they can live, where other people have starved to that. They're resourceful. And there's a lot of wisdom in the Orient, a lot that we have forgotten when we were there.
I think it's also because of what was started in their country. I think they made the ideal of a situation where they turned it around to where it is just about as ideal equally as you can get, where in Russia they did not do that. They still kept the higher level than the peons, or in China they did not do that. Everybody, ate to the mouth himself was, at least in the beginning, and has since for a very long time stayed that way. Where it was, if I have something to eat, you have something to eat. If I don't have anything, then you don't have anything. You don't have anything, I have.
But things are changing very rapidly now all over the world, and we're seeing it. And I've been saying this for 30 years in this incarnation, but now it's really evident.
It's very evident, particularly in the technology we have in what it's making available to most people. As I think we mentioned before, that you will have more time to devote to those things that are of above than you have now, because you don't have to worry about making.
That's right. You don't have to worry so much about making a living and supporting your body. The machines and the computer are going to do it.
Ruth Montgomery had one of the books that a lot of people were incarnating from Atlantis now, because it was finally to a point where they felt they could come back again, because before it was just too primitive.
Saw a bad TV a couple weeks back about, I guess they did this 50 years ago. How they kind of showed a picture of what it would be like in this year and the way things are now. They compared how that came out, and they also did another 50-year projection, and that's some pretty neat stuff. I mean, to even visualize that, and that's all will come along with all the it's definitely gonna be super, super electronic, and so
It's accelerating.
There's also the downfall up in there too, wasn't it?
Well, the downfall was that we used the psychic powers in the wrong way. And I can see Elva's point when he said, don't be concerned about developing your psychic powers too early before you have a foundation. And so many people want to rush right in and develop their psychic abilities. But when you don't have the spiritual understanding to go with it, then you can easily use it in the wrong way.
that I can already relate just with the first couple of classes.
Just to give an example of the kind of acceleration that has taken place that a lot of people didn't realize it. I'm taking a class right now in digital communications, and they were talking about how 20 years ago they said, okay, we're going to put this kind of systems in for our communication to the network for U.S. West. And they said, this should last 20 years, and then we will go with this, and,
But it didn't get
technology. And it's only been 10 years since they made that prediction, and we're already into the advanced technology. Having to change to it, and we're forced by the advances.
And that's the trouble with our schools. what they teach in schools, by the time that children become adults, is already out of date now. Everything's going so rapidly.
We've got too many in this room that doesn't know what it's like to be without dating.
That's what I want. And when I was a child, and if we had a radio with all the radio watching,
When I didn't watch a lot into the thing. However, I do. As long as I watch on TV, Saturday morning.
yeah,
TV. So, that's it. And in College, I hear you with them about the Alpha and Nickel.
we had shake it and it was too.
She young, slow,
She did have
sideways. Yep.
Well, the children are going to bring their own ideas, and that each generation, and we have to remember this and release them to it, and let them bring them through instead of trying to put them in our old rut. They're just not going to fit anymore.
I was a kid, we asked for a bike. He had to make her a cigar.